It's a lot nicer when that plays over there instead of in my ear.
This is the DLS Dallas Stars pregame show. Luds, Sam,
What? Oh,
myself, John is here. Hey, John, do you think that you would be agreeable if we use the introductory line of our producer, John Anderson, and then play the From Boston line from the Sam Adams commercials, or would that be painting you into a stereotypical box?
I don't know. I don't really bring up that I'm from Boston a lot. We never really talk.
Start the show.
Get ready, boys.
All right, a Tuesday night in Vegas, because it doesn't really matter what day of the week it is in Vegas. It's still a party. And tonight, the Stars and the Golden Knights will wrap up their 3-game regular season series. Pete DeBoer was very quick to say today, well, it's their last time seeing these guys maybe in the regular season. They both have high expectations and hopes for maybe yet another playoff meeting down the road, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Alongside Craig Ludwig and Sam Nessler and our producer, John from Boston, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's get right to it. Luds, it hasn't been very long since the Stars played the Golden Knights. They each have won their home games in this season series thus far, and the Stars played a very, very good contest on Saturday at home, but Vegas did play the night before, and honestly, I gained even a little bit more respect for them with how after Dallas dominated that second period, Vegas found the legs to push back with the back-to-back and travel they had to deal with.
yeah. I think this is going to be a little tighter game. I think you're going to see a little bit more out of Vegas. Obviously, they're going to be not as tired as they were when they came in the first one. They're a better team at home. I mean, they got their points percentage is like 750 at home. On the road, they're like 565 or something like that, and they got 19-6 at home. So they're a lot better. You know, their power play actually is better on the road. Their PK better at home, and I don't think. Just for me, I don't know if it had anything to do with playing the game before, and I always talk about their decor. I didn't think their decor was as good as I've seen them be, and I don't know if that had fatigue, but because Dallas found ways to get inside of them, and generally against that group, it doesn't happen. You know, they're big guys. They make it difficult to get to those areas of the ice, and it didn't happen the way that they wanted to, so we'll see if that shores up for them.
It's really interesting you say that. John, can you flash the Vegas defensive group and goaltending expected tonight? We'll see Adin Hill again tonight. This is his third straight start. They'd been rotating Hill and Samsonov quite a lot, but they looked at it. Bruce Cassidy said today that they have a practice schedule where they don't want Samsonov to go more than 7 or 8 days without playing a game, but they feel they have the schedule allows for Hill to play several in a row. And he said, Luds, because I was going to ask you if you thought this was the best 6 in the NHL right now, partly because they know each of their roles, right? There's no debate of who plays with who plays what minutes. The only time this ever gets messed up is if somebody has an injury. First, case in point, first meeting this year, which was back in early December, White Cloud was out. And that you said, it just messes with it a little bit. But that group right there, as it stands, is that the best 6? Bruce Cassidy said Dallas got inside. That, just like you mentioned, he goes, we cleaned that up and we didn't allow that against Florida on Sunday.
Yeah, I've said it for a while. I've felt that not just this group, other groups that they've had there have been good. Always, I mean, in my opinion, they play the game the right way in their own zone. And, you know, with Theodore, he's their guy, right? I mean, he's the guy that gets up the ice. He's Miro. He's Harley. He gets up the ice. He's good on the really good on the power play. He's having a really good year this year. But I think the Hanifin and Petro are a good top pair, and their mindset is to defend first. And they all can kind of get up in the – even White Cloud and McNabb, they can get up in the play. But what those two guys do is they make it difficult along the walls. I mean, they're a physical group, but that couple guys they're physical and they make you pay when you go into certain areas of the ice. And like I said, I just thought I found and credit to Dallas, regardless of the team played the night before or not, they got interior, on that group of defensemen. And so I think that there'll be a statement trying to be made by the group overall, but especially for the group of defensemen tonight, saying it's going to be more difficult in our building, especially than it was here.
And the interesting part too, Luds, is that getting inside is important every game. Right, it's how you win a lot of games. Yeah. Against the Vegas team, Adin Hill is going to make the first save most of the time, but man, is he horrendous with rebound control because he doesn't have to be good with it. They're so good at cleaning up the area in front of their own net. He just makes that first save with his body. And that last game in Dallas, the puck just sat there. And Dallas got to a few of them, but you can score a lot of goals if you can just get to the middle of the ice a few times on Vegas. It's easier said than done, though. That's the problem.
Well, they're second in the league in allowing rebound goals against. So to everything that you're saying, and that's the other stat for me that when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, but their group was so good in front of them. And I don't know what the answer is for that. Maybe it's gone up. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of it laying around in the game here in Dallas.
Alex Pietrangelo spoke to the media today about his decision to not play. You mentioned Petro, to not play in the Four Nations. We had a segment where we talked about that on our regular show, which was 24 hours ago or so. It seems like it was 2 days ago, but he had to make a tough decision. I listened to...
In a couple hours, it will be 2 days ago.
It will be, right? It's the thought of picking your club over your country, picking I can deal with this, but boy, a couple weeks rest to maybe do some things, not skating, will be beneficial for the long haul. What I couldn't help but wonder, Luds, was he's done this before. He's been at some of the biggest stages. And Bruce Cassidy said, as a member of the Hockey Canada coaching staff for this tournament, I'm very disappointed. As the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, I completely understand. And I just wonder if this was the Olympics instead of Four Nations, would he have made a different choice?
Well, I first want to know if they checked with the league and said, okay, you know where I'm going?
The exact same question. If you knew that already.
Yeah. Did you already check and find out that if we don't play in this short tournament, we're not missing a game on the way back?
They found out that they're not doing
right.
that.
They had to have known that.
Yeah, I would think so. Even though they announced it after he made that decision, I'm thinking he may have checked on it prior to, or they may have already known that, and the players may have known it too. So, but yeah, I mean, why wouldn't, and again, I think he's got a lot of, he's got a lot of feathers in his cap anyways. He's got a Stanley Cup and all this other kind of stuff, and and maybe he wants to spend a little time with the family. It's again, he's not 23 years old. He's an important part to that decor and to that team, and there's a bigger picture that they're looking at than the Four Nations Cup. And if he's bumped and bruised and get a little rest, then, if your coach is going, yeah, okay, that's cool with me,
Yeah, Pete DeBoer actually said yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that Pietrangelo bleeds that Canadian flag, and Pete didn't think it was anything like you were saying the Olympics. He thinks that if he was healthy enough to play and needed to, not putting himself in a bad spot. Whereas if he's healthy and he's feeling like he's going to play, it wouldn't have stayed out. It has to be more than that, but that could, Pete's a lawyer, so you never know.
Wouldn't you think Pete would be lobbying that there should be a penalty for not playing, or let's get him there?
Two ways.
We want him there.
Either he gets Pietrangelo there, or he gets him
there.
suspended from Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect win.
Luds, Pietrangelo's 35 now.
Yeah.
He signed as a free agent in 2020. Do you think St. Louis, if they had to do it all over again, wouldn't have let him leave? Because they were worried about that. It was turning over to the next group. It was Parayko getting to take a more senior role on the defensive side for St. Louis, and worried that as players age, their abilities and their skill decline.
I don't know. I think at the time, did he really have any more? I think there was more issues there than him leaving up front too, in their group of 12 to 14 players up front.
But remember, they won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I know. And they won a Stanley Cup, and Petro saw another team or another opportunity. And he maybe there was,
and he won a Stanley Cup again.
Maybe there was something else going on, right? And he leaves and wins another Stanley Cup. So, I don't know. And again, Doug Armstrong's not a guy that wants to give up on anybody, and he is not going to be a general manager that is going to tank. He's going to find a way to keep his team at least competitive, so they're staying interested. And that, I think that's the way you in St. Louis is the fans that are there. I think they're going to be behind you regardless, but Army wants to put as best of a club out there until they get what they can, put together at some point. But they're going to be a competitive team, and they're at least going to be able to walk out of the building at the end of the night proud of the way that group fights and plays.
Let's talk about the Stars for a minute because we spent a few minutes on the Golden Knights. We'll get to more of that in a minute. Dallas has been better, Sam, on the road lately. 7-2 in their last 9 games. Point percentage 7.78. After starting the year 6-8, a 429 point percentage in their first 14 road games. It was very uncharacteristic of the Stars to be that poor this year to start compared to what they did last year, which was the best road record in the league. And now, is this what we should be more expecting? And what's the difference to you?
Some guys got going, I think, is number one. We talked to Pete a little bit about this yesterday. Mike asked, what Pete learned throughout this whole process of going through all the, road record, power play struggles, not scoring goals, guys having slow starts. And I actually wrote an article about this today, but he talked about the leadership of the group and how strong the leadership has been and how much that's pushed them through these things, because the coaching message hasn't changed. They've stayed the same message. They believed they had what they needed in terms of messaging, structure, all those things deep down. It was just a few little things. And we talked about on the show a bunch how we were picking for things that were wrong at times, because we're looking at a team that's still winning games. Yes, they have this issue on the power play. They're not scoring enough goals, but we all kind of felt like it was going to eventually happen. And that's because the structure and everything was there. It was get Jason Robertson going, get Rope Hintz going, get a little bit more from your defense, get your power play to wake up a little bit and get back to that road hockey. And that I think is just so much credit to Ben and Duchesne and the guys that are still in the lineup with Sagan and Marchman and a few really key leaders that are out. Huge credit to them to push this team, give them what they needed and get them to this spot, because now, as you just mentioned, everything's going right essentially for them. This is their best month of the season. 18 points in January. We're not even done with January yet. We got another game tonight. I don't know if there's another one in January. I can't remember the specific date, but 18 points in January. They're playing better hockey and more consistent hockey. And I think that's what we expected.
They're playing Vancouver on Friday, which is also in January.
There you go. So they got a chance to get 4 more in January.
There you go. All right.
I will say also that this game tonight is important for the coaching staff and the management because of Beck, Bork, Blackwell, Brennan Smith are 4 of your top 12. How you play in this building, even though it's not, we're not there yet. There's still 30 plus to go. But you get a good glimpse of playing a team like this in their building. You can kind of get a bit of a look at the playoff picture should it come there, or any other team where you have to go on the road.
Give you a good sight before the deadline of what.
Yeah, I mean, there's because some of the new guys, that in the beginning of the year to get up and get running and things like that, and I think that you kind of get a good temperature, and not that you're going to play 4 rounds against Vegas, but it gives you a good idea what you're facing. And again, I look at it from being the visitor because you don't own the matchup side of things, and how would you keep note on all those little things.
You mentioned that there are some guys getting going. What's getting going lately is Stars power play, and it's not just on the road, although that's been a huge part of it. And I think that's why their road record has really improved, because it started to heat up. But overall, counting the last 11 games, home or road, they've scored power play goals in 7 of them. They're 10 for 28 over that stretch, 35.7%. That's since January 7th. And they rank 3rd in the NHL in power play since the 1 week into the month of January. The only 2 teams in the league that have a hotter power play than the Stars in that span, the Winnipeg Jets, which come into tonight's action at 50%, and Vegas at 40%. But we saw from Vegas the other night, their power play is definitely something to be reckoned with.
If you're going to get one, look at it good, because these are the teams that are 30th and 31st in the league taking penalties. So you might not see a lot of power plays tonight, but if you get 1 or 2, you probably need to take advantage of one of them.
No thoughts on the power play?
No, you know what I'm going to say. I think they've made a couple changes and given
Yeah,
some more
and who
time
got
to a certain
slapped
unit.
down at practice.
I tried.
He tried to get Pete
You knew he was
yesterday
going to give me that.
to say, hey, gold star, Thomas Harley, first unit. And what did Pete say to you when you tried?
He said that
Wait, was somebody at the end of a shift or something
he
like
said
that?
Miro was tired in general, and that they were just shifting some things around during the power play.
That's kind of by design when you're playing the guy 27 to 28 minutes a night.
And was a
every
big
night.
argument from my end of putting Harley on more. Is that so? The point he made was that when the Stars are tired, Miro feels it the most. If you play him a little less in the power play, he's not going to feel it as much.
And in reality, let's face it. If we're talking about Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen, they go about their business differently on the power play. One's a shooter, one kind of shares it with everybody. So, and we cater a little bit more to, like, more things happen when you get the puck to the net. So whether Miro's tired or not, Miro could have played 8 minutes prior to the first power play, and he's still going to do his thing.
Yep.
And if he plays 28 minutes, he's still going to get up the ice the way he can always skate getting up the ice. It's just when he's standing on top of the blue line, they go about it a little differently.
So I listened to Bruce Cassidy's. It was 11 minutes today. I always enjoy listening to his scrums because he is. I know he doesn't give you everything, but it feels like he tells more than the average NHL coach. One of the things he was asked about was about Shea Theodore's offense, because Theodore's always been an offensive guy, but right now he's 4th in the league in defensive scoring. And when talking about the power play, he said he thinks that any player that has confidence, Leds, and starts getting points on the power play changes how you play, because it just makes everything easier, freer, because you know that these things are working. But he also said that the expectation was not for it to be run through Theodore. It was through Jack Eichel. But because teams are always so cluing in on him, it ends up going through Theodore more often. But he talked about plan A, B, C, D, E, etc.
Yeah, he's got 5 different options out there.
That's exactly what he said.
And the thing about Eichel's got that spot, right? He's got that spot, the Ovechkin house or whatever you want to call it. That's where you see, and he can let him go from there. But they've got a couple other guys that are lefties out there that can shoot the puck and pass the puck, and Stone's a big part of that in front of the net. So I don't know if it. And again, so maybe they got a couple different quarterbacks. Maybe it's Theodore when it's up at the top, and it's Eichel when it's down low, which is a good problem to have too. I
was just going to say, I remember we talked about this a ton in that December game, that Stone play right around the net, right on the crease that he does so much. That I feel like is kind of where you can be a quarterback as Eichel, because you can either step in and shoot there, you can move it across through a seam pass, or you drop it down low to Stone if they come up too high. So it's kind of a 3-option thing. So I see what they're saying, but it just makes them more dangerous.
Well, as a penalty killer, you got to kind of pick your poison. Like, obviously you're short one guy. So who are we taking away? If we can, not taking away, but where do we want the puck? Because that's how you should play when you're shorthanded, is go, there's their best play right there. Let's make them go to plan B. But they may feel that they have 3 A's and 2 B's. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So,
on the other side.
But you really do have to try to tilt it into your favor somehow. And if it's the lesser of 2 evils, which one is it? Is it Eichel, or is it Hurdle? Is it Stone? Is it Theodore that comes in and out? And the thing about Theodore getting pucks to the net, when he gets puck to the net, they have some big bodies down there, and it's difficult to play against.
All right, let's talk about something I wanted you to see, because you guys have been watching this guy, Jason Robertson, every single night. But I split it up into 3 parts, because look at the difference in his season. Now, there are a lot of numbers on here, so let me work our viewers through this real quick. I split his season into thirds, okay? So from the beginning of the year until November 19th.
Scoring chances or high danger chances?
Hold on. I'll get you through it. So the top line is how many games he played during that segment. So as you can see, 17, 17, and 15. He had 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists during his first 17 games. He was a +3. His points per game was .47, which was tied for 237th in the NHL. Now,
superstar.
That's not very good. He had 41 shots, and his shooting percentage was 9.8% that first segment. Then he started to heat up a little bit. He had 15 points in 17 games from, late November, just past the Christmas break. But he was -4. His points per game doubled, and his shooting percentage actually went down slightly, which was interesting. Then look at this most recent segment from the end of December till tonight, 22 points in 15 games. His points per game has just exploded. He's tied for 4th in the league. And obviously his shooting percentage is a completely different thing. To me, the last segment, I know it seems like Jason Robertson on here. That's Jason Robertson. The first one was he was in a bad way, starting to improve, and now you're starting to see a superstar in what he should be doing. Thoughts on all those numbers, or are you just cross-eyed?
Well, one thing I'm going to go out on a limb and say his shooting percentage, 21.7, ain't staying there.
Probably not.
No. Because if it is, he's going to win the heart.
Well, I mean, Matt Duchene right now is at about 20%.
The way he shoots the puck, which is everything right now. You can sum up all this stuff about him getting pucks to the net because now he's shooting from everywhere. And along with that, he's getting to the areas where he's not on the perimeter. He's finding ways to get inside that, that area that we talk about all the time. He's getting into those areas. He's getting some more high danger penalties. And the thing about it is, how many goals have we seen him score in the last, 2-3 weeks that are within 2 feet of the net?
Yeah.
He's going to the areas. And what's nice about it is, if he'd have done it a long time ago, his numbers would even be higher. But now he's getting rewarded, and he's like, well, what the hell? Maybe I'll go in this area here. Yeah, I can score from 30 feet away, but I can go in here and tap him in every once in a while. So he's putting it together. And at the end of the day, everything I'm saying all leads back to confidence. He has got a ton of confidence right now.
He even said that in their post-game. I think it was after the last home game. He said, I think it was right after Wyatt made that little kick-out play to him on the goal, and he said the confidence has been so huge for him, not only to shoot the puck more. I'm actually surprised the shots aren't higher on that third tier. I think it's just going to go up because he does shoot the puck more when he's confident, but he said the puck's starting to find him too. Go to the areas, puck finds you.
I'm glad you said Wyatt, because when you play with Wyatt, not only does Wyatt create opportunities with his shot, but he goes and gets the puck again. And that allows Robo to get into areas of the ice because Wyatt retrieves pucks. And so do other guys, power play guys too. But Wyatt creates havoc, and he opens up area where Robo comes in a little late into the zone, and when Wyatt drives to the net, and he's usually pulling 2 guys to him because of the way he can play, all of a sudden there's another pocket someplace else for Robo to jump into. And yes, he's getting into that area to find the puck, and again, we don't see him dishing pucks off anymore. Like in the beginning, he was making a lot of passes.
He was deferring all
and
over
because
the
he
ice.
didn't have any confidence. But right now, he knows that it's touching his stick and it's going in the net. And regardless, when that shooting percentage goes down to, let's say it only goes down to down to like
15.
12%,
Yeah.
that would be awesome,
Yeah.
right? And
Well,
that's still a good shooting percentage.
If he maintained 20%
He
in the
ain't
last, I know.
maintaining it.
There's 33 games left, right? If he maintained that shooting percentage
What is his shooting percentage right now?
for the whole season,
My
Well,
shooting
yeah,
percentage.
for the season. Well, I didn't mean for tonight. I mean, it's easy to say
Overall,
take
instead of the
7 games
charts.
and say that. But overall, I'm guessing he's going to be 7-ish, 8-ish. I mean, just because of the sluggish start.
he is at, for the season, 13.2.
That's great.
It is.
That's great.
His career average is 14.6. His career high is 18.6. That was the 21-22 season when he scored 41 goals in 74 games. Believe it or not, he would be on pace if there's 33 games left in the year. He's got 10 goals in his last 15 games.
And he'd be on Team USA coming up, but he still may be. But
He
wouldn't.
might, but
Yeah.
think about that. If he maintained that 20% shooting percentage, he's got another 20-plus goals. He would have close to 40. I don't think he's going to get the 40 goals this year, but if he plays the way he does right now the rest of the season, he could kind of sneak up on that
And
number.
there's nobody that cares if he gets there. Nobody cares anymore about what he did in the beginning. If he's hot now,
That's all that matters.
please stay hot for the next 52 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
And that's,
Yeah.
I think that third,
not in the season, folks. I'm
That-
talking about the 16 wins at
He's
the
talking
end
about
of
the
it.
playoffs.
yeah, when you look
Gotcha.
at, when you look at that like breakdown of you can look at it and say, wow, he's hot right now. That's great for him. The last month has been great. That's more Robo going forward though that we're seeing. It's not just that we're seeing it right now, but I think one thing we'll talk about it more, Lutz, what you just said is why playoff game 1, round 1, Wyatt Johnston is on my first line center, not Robo Hens.
Yeah, right now, not Robo. I mean, not Hens, you mean.
No, I mean Robo, Wyatt, and someone else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when Wyatt play, this is what we all expect. This is especially what the coaches and management knew was coming down the road. It's why nobody was panicked in the beginning too. We're all kind of, what the hell is going? They're like, I'm sure they're going, just chill.
Okay, so quick on that thought. If you want to have those three centers, Wyatt, Rope, Duchesne in 3 different lines, and you're trying to build your pairings.
Well, take one line out of the equation. Let's hopefully it's Tyler. That line's set.
Well, so you say
That's coming back,
Marshman,
which is unfortunate because Ben is so good with Duchesne too. But
so
everyone's good with
does
Duchesne.
Jamie Benn fit with Rope Hintz in your mind? Is that the pairing, or is the player that we want them to go
with who?
with Rope? Because if you're keeping
It's Robo,
Johnston
Wyatt,
and Robo together,
blank.
or do you say no, but Wyatt and Jamie because we like that pairing and we'll put Robo back with Rope?
All I can say is it's a good problem to have.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that sounds
I don't
like
know.
To me,
I
that
don't know.
sounds like a cup contending lineup. Let's take a look at the Stars lineup right now. Fine, but not quite there comparatively, right? If you can, as you see, they're going with the exact same group that they did the last 2 games. If you could,
you're basically taking Dodonov and Bork and moving them down to the 3rd and 4th or whatever you want to do,
and that
because you're bringing, and that's if Tyler's fine, good to go.
And Mason Marchment's back in the lineup and healthy, and then maybe do they still trade for another player? It just means that everybody gets pushed down one peg, and the team is that much scarier and deeper.
I think they were gonna make a move for another player
anyway.
Going into that thing, and then it just kind of escalated with Tyler's situation, but. Let's hope that Tyler, is ahead of schedule. I haven't heard anything, so let's hope he's a little bit ahead of schedule. I hope he gets back in again, if the whole LTIR deal happens, then he's not coming back.
That's right,
obviously. But it would be nice for Tyler to get back in time. But again, we're playing against a guy tonight in Markstone that had the same thing, and he was back 30 days ahead of time. And he was and he wasn't coming back. For some reason that injury just kept on lingering all the time to get to game 83, and then he was okay right away. But he was able to get himself into as close to game shape as he could, scrimmaging and things like that with the club.
I was going to say Jake Oettinger playing tonight. I think that he told me yesterday. I keep forgetting what day it is, but he told me yesterday that. Thank you, John. The D pairs and goalies here, but he told me yesterday. He asked me if I was going to Vegas, and I said, the one-day trips don't really work out so well when you're trying to sell the boss. And he said, next time you got to make it happen. And I was like, why do you mean? He said, that is the most fun arena to play in the entire league. He said, I am 50% more fired up when I play in Vegas than any other arena. He actually said he's talked to people within the team and within the American Airlines Center to have them look at Vegas's pregame and music and hype and try to emulate some of that here in Dallas. I just thought that was really interesting.
I think that's the sign of a good goaltender that wants to get them, the fans
pressure.
to sit on their hands.
Yeah, it wants the pressure and all that.
Let's go to the Vegas group real quick, the forwards, because we showed the D earlier. We've seen them. This is not a surprise. There's 2 new guys, though. Raphael Lavoie was just called up. He was the player that got claimed off waivers at the beginning of this season from Edmonton, then got put back on waivers, and Edmonton reclaimed him, and then Vegas claimed him again, and they've got him in the AHL playing for Henderson. Well, this will be his debut for the Golden Knights, but he's played a handful of NHL games with the Oilers. And Jonas Ronbjorg, you ready for that one? Ronbjorg is going to play. Yeah, he's a Danish left winger. So a couple new names that we didn't see on Saturday night in Dallas.
Big line, 6'2", 6'2", 6'4". Then you look down the middle of the ice, 6'2", 6'4", 6'2", 6'2". They got a big club.
All the way around. Defense, goaltending, they're all big.
They're big. I mean, that's the point with this club is this is the idea of building a team this way. Again, I'm moving ahead 35 games, but this is a kind of team that can push other teams out of the fight, out of the series over the course of 7 games and 14 days.
I mean, it's Stars fans are going to hate hearing this, but it feels like if Dallas or anyone else is going to make it to the Stanley Cup final, they're going to have to beat these guys. Feels like
it
the
wouldn't
West
even
is going to
surprise
end
me
up here
if these guys made a move. It would not, because I think they can shore up their third line.
Vegas always does something, and they're going to.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much for them to do on
Maybe that's where Saad's going.
You think?
Not.
I mean, here's the thing. They brought in Anthony Mantha last year, and it didn't work out. And he got scratched in those pivotal games against the Stars toward the end of that series. And now he's playing Calgary, I think he is this year. They'll do it.
Well,
they brought in everybody.
They brought in 3 players last year.
There's 2 guys that are available apparently in Vancouver.
Well, and William Karlsson.
There might be one in with the Islanders.
Man, you imagine if Pedersen ends up on his Vegas team.
They'll find a way. Just remember, William Karlsson is injured right now, so they could get him back, or he could be the one. I saw people joking on Twitter the other day about he could be the next markstone LTIR case. I also saw fans joking that Jamie Benn was going to hit markstone during the game, and then he's going to go back on the IR. A lot of jokes, a lot of fun, but I'll tell you one thing. If it's anything like the last meeting on Saturday or Sunday's game, it was Friday in Dallas, and Sunday Vegas versus
Saturday.
Florida. No.
It was Friday, you're right.
It was Friday.
Sorry.
Those were two really good teams playing. It were really good hockey games, lads.
Hey, all I know is this is getting to the point where we all get a little giddy because you're getting to that mark and you're getting past Wednesday, hump day, and your eyes are set on the playoffs. And the good news is here in this market, this team is going to be in the playoffs. A couple other ones are still fighting for it. I just look at this game tonight, and I believe Jake Oettinger is going to have a good game. I don't know if the guy at the other end of the rink will have such a good game.
Well, he was a rebound machine.
But you got to get in there, and that's why I'm looking forward to seeing the battle in front of the net to see who can win a couple of those.
I think for me, the only two notes I have for this game, Vegas.
Only two?
Well, of many, but
You're
the last two. Vegas, not so hot right now, right? 3-6-1 in their last 10. They're 6-6-1 in January, whereas the opposite, Dallas is having the best month, as we just talked about. Take advantage of them while they're not maybe rolling as heavy as they are. But one thing I thought was really interesting, Dallas has nearly a 70% win percentage against the Western Conference this year.
And
talk about getting the 4-point swings there.
Teams like Dallas that are coming to your building, that's how you can, that you're looking, as a coach, you're looking forward to those games. When things aren't going like you mentioned, those records, this is it, guys. If we don't play the right way, bad things are going to happen in our building tonight.
Yep. It'll be interesting. Mostly close games, 1-goal games, extra time. Every now and then, both teams have had one-sided wins in the regular season, but it's not very common. So,
Vegas gives up a goal less at home than they do on a road. So
yeah,
might
dig
be a little
in.
tighter.
It's going to be tight.
Sorry.
It's on ESPN Plus tonight. So if you want to listen to Josh and Razor, you got to do it on the ticket. But you can watch the game on ESPN Plus and Hulu, and we will be here right after the game. Watch the game. Come join us. Hit up the super chats.
Get some coffee.
If you flood our super chats, we can just completely destroy a recap and just chat the whole night. Luddy would love nothing more.
it.
Come hither.
Let's go. And
I don't know what that
actually,
means.
Lutz has got to take us out.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight. I do.
We all silly like the mayor.